Feel free to put your questions in the Q&A section, and on that, over to you, Ankita.
Yes. Thank you, Sloka. Yeah, so warm welcome to one and all present on this virtual event today. And most importantly, we would like to also wish you all a 74th Happy Independence Day. With this pandemic, it has been very difficult for us to have in-person gatherings, but I think shifting to the virtual world had also made it possible to have such an increased attendance for today's event. Today's event is also special as we are celebrating the spirit of independence with 7 other women entrepreneurs who will be sharing their entrepreneurial journey and how their lives change post the Women Startup Program of NSR Cell. Before we go ahead with the panel discussion for today, I would like to brief you all about NSR Cell. So since its inception from 20 years, NSR Cell, the startup incubator at IIM Bangalore, has been incubating interesting startups from across India under its various programs. Though the focus has been towards for-profit ventures, women entrepreneurs, social sector, and technology-based startups, of late, we're also focusing on sector-specific programs like the fintech, mobility, health tech, and agri-tech. These are some of our partners associated with various programs and have also supported us in our journey with the startups. So we will now proceed with the panel discussion, launching your startup with Professor Suresh from Entrepreneurship area at IIM Bangalore. He'll be moderating this session. He's also the program director for Women Startup Program and has been with the program since its inception in 2016. So Professor, may I request you to start this event with all this wonderful audience present here today?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Ankita. I guess we should be careful when we say the lives changed. We never know how they may have really, how it may have really changed, so that we don't have to have them say like how they really changed, right? So yeah, in any case, welcome everyone. I'm sitting here in NSR Cell. We technically should have been having this event here on campus because we did a couple of events over the last 2 cohorts were on campus. So at the least, the campus would have been nice and green. So I thought I'll come here mainly because the internet speeds are higher here than at home. So I thought not a bad place to start because in one of these rooms was when we started talking about Women's Startup Program many, many years ago. So we have 2 WSPs until now. So we have people from both the cohorts, Shambhavi and Anushka from the first cohort, and the rest are all from the second cohort. I thought I would probably introduce one, and then we first have Shubhra. Shubhra, please raise your hand so that they know who's who. So she is founder of Encovate Hospitality. It's a skill tech startup that is reducing the skill gap through blended and outcome-driven learning for individuals and organizations. So she has been in the hospitality sector, and she's still addressing a huge problem in that sector, especially at the lower levels of the staff. You can always correct me, Shubhra, if I'm just adding things which you have not written here. She has like tons of experience before coming and starting her venture. She's a Dale Carnegie certified trainer, and she's a mother to a 12-year-old, loves to read, write, travel, and appreciate good food. I guess travel will have to wait for now, but given the fact that she is from the hospitality sector, I guess at some point of time, you will have wings on your heels again, right? So next we have Shambhavi. So Shambhavi is a superstar before she came here. She, in a way, don't look around, Shambhavi, we're talking about you. She is a PhD in cancer biology from University of Leicester, followed by postdoc at NCBS. It doesn't get any geekier than this. So if geeks like Shambhavi can start ventures, so can all of us.
That I'll fully attest to.
Yeah. So if geeks like her can become worldly wise, then it's good. So she spent a lot of time in wet labs, trying to kill cancer cells in Petri dish, but realized as a scientist, she was spending a significant amount of time looking for a whole bunch of products that get into the lab. If I remember you right, Shambhavi, we were saying that about 15% of a scientist's time is actually going around trying to procure chemicals in India. Having worked in a wet lab for a few years, I do know how it is. I was the lowest down. So I was the one who was doing all the ordering all the time. Everything is a big issue. So Shambhavi is addressing that. So other than before, right? She loves to read, mostly analyze life science related policies. I guess your inputs would be more required now than at any point of time, given that we have no clue and none of us seem to know what reality is related to the pandemic. So she was one of those 10 women who went to San Francisco with Anita Borg. So had a nice time in Silicon Valley and came back. And so that's Shambhavi. And then we have the rest. So we have Amshu. Amshu is, are you logging in from the Himalayas? Or from Mysore?
No. I'm in Manali.
You are in Manali, right? So
Yeah.
talk of staycation, right? Like for her, every day is a holiday. So she has an MBA from Cardiff. She worked for many years in international marketing and now spending time breathing fresh air, eating good food, and wanting us to experience similar levels of quality of life. But thorough city breds like us, we have inertia to get anywhere close to where she is. So, so she has a venture which works with travel, good food, and then responsible, sustainable kind of venture. Rest you can add, but technically she's a South Indian hanging out in the Himalayas. And we have Anushka. Anushka is actually a runaway CA from Mumbai. So she has an interesting story that she didn't even tell her folks that she was applying for WSP. She quietly slinked to Bangalore. I don't know what story she told her mother, but she did come here and then she got into WSP, spent a year with us. We actually didn't want her in, but then we sent her a reject letter. But some twist of fate, we said, okay, maybe we should give her a chance. Chance she took, she did very well. She was the one who even convinced us we should invest in her venture, which we did. So I don't know.
This is not sounding very good about me. Like this is turning out to be like.
You are a Bombayite. You can turn any situation towards yourself. So she runs a very interesting venture on trying to get youngsters to read interesting work. So she started book publishing, book writing kind of initiative, but now she's looking at multimedia based, all kinds of alternative ways in which she wants to get youngsters to read. I cannot even imagine why would anybody read other than a book, at best a Kindle. But Anushka has all kinds of interesting stories to say how she has been getting young millennials to read. We have Meenal. Meenal is an architect and she's trying to get a bunch of people interested in becoming an online and digital platform for architects, interior designers, products, and students. She currently has 1.5 lakh architectural enthusiasts following her. So you are kind of a celebrity here. I don't know, maybe you guys have far higher numbers. I have 100, 200 in my social media accounts.
Not my followers, Professor. They are like followers.
It's okay. You just say yes to whatever I say. So she's been running. So she's been running a venture called Spaciots, and she actually was documenting a lot of work of architects using again social media, using multimedia. instead of
Yeah.
just text and pictures, right? So we have Nanda. Nanda is kind of a cyber detective. So she is into the security space. She probably will tell the ways in which IIMB is sitting on very vulnerable internet accounts and the ways in which we are not doing things well. So she comes from, so she's a deep tech from the security and networking side. And that's the venture that she's continuing to tell the world that how vulnerable they are and why should they hire her in order to protect our bank accounts, right? So then we have finally, right, Sneha. Sneha has, she's recent recipient of Niti Aayog's Women Transforming India Award. She's in the top 3. She's a Western classical singer, very strangely, as in all of us yodeled to all kinds of old songs, but she actually can. She's the one who can do it, right? None of us, we just yodel and had fun while we were kids, but she technically can do it. But as an educator, she's from London School of Economics with a psychology background, and she runs a venture called Kutuki, right? So interesting set of people, really, really wonderful backgrounds. Nothing can be more testimonial to the kind of a program that we have than the kind of backgrounds that each of these people come from, right? It is, so NSRCell, we believe entrepreneur, anybody can be an entrepreneur. And more importantly, we believe entrepreneurship is not about creating those big unicorns. It's all about going and addressing and solving problems. And each of them, with the kind of background they have been addressing problems that are very uniquely in the particular community that they are in, or that they are able to see because of the background, right? So thanks a lot, everyone, for coming on. So there's enough and more. I thought I'll talk about WSP 1.2. I don't think I'll do that. I'll straight away get y'all to start speaking. Maybe each of y'all could start to talk about what your thoughts were, what your feelings were, how did you enter the WSP, how did you enter that registration form and your thoughts before that? Because most of the people who are currently signed up are in the state that you were at that point of time, right? So if you quickly have a thought or two around what state you were just before you entered the webpage of NSRCell and hit your registration. So I'll, like a traditional teacher, I'll cold call. Right, Shambhi, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I can tell you precisely what I was thinking when I applied. And this was when I saw the first ad in Deccan Herald. And I was actually on a flight from Mumbai to Bangalore when I saw the program, and I thought, hey, this is something I want to apply to. So I had been in the lab for 3 years, as I said, killing cancer cells in a petri dish. And I knew that I wanted to fix that supply chain problem that life scientists in India face. I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I did not know how I wanted to do it. And hence the program was useful. And I think the one thing that I learned from it was that I kind of knew how I wanted to do things. I did not actually know what I wanted to do. So all my doubts were wrongly placed. And I came to the program with all of these doubts. I wasn't sure about being an entrepreneur. I'm not quite sure that I still am. Every day is a learning day, right? And the past 3 months have been phenomenally a learning experience. I had no trust in the idea. I had false trust in parts of the ideas. And I think I just came to the program to say that, hey, look, I think I want to do this. I'm not very sure. I'm not really sure that whether I know anything about doing this, but hey, let me give it a try. That was precisely how I came.
Sneha.
So interestingly, I live right next to IIM, and I didn't know of NSRCell's existence, unfortunately. And I got to hear of NSRCell actually through Professor Suresh's videos, and that's where I first chanced upon the WSP program. What I really liked about this when I applied was the fact that it was sector agnostic. It was very, very open, and it, from the get-go, the constant, sort of feel was that this is like a safe space for you to experiment, especially when you're just an idea and you really have nothing. And that's when we joined. We were just an idea. Kutuki was not a product. Wasn't. We didn't have a single sort of tangible thing to show. It was just, a small little deck that we had and an idea that we wanted to pitch. And it was a problem that we really very, very deeply believed in, which we thought was a very big white space, which is early childhood education. And we are building for India. Kutuki creates early learning solutions for India. So it was very important for us to be in an environment that understood the Indian ecosystem, because we are building for Bharat. So that's why I applied, and NSR Cell being right next door made it even better. So I could walk up to NSR Cell. So that was really cool.
Yeah, on the other side, like Anushka.
I was just about to say, I mean, lucky for you, I had to travel like 800 kilometers away, but it was like, so for me, it was completely different. Like Sneha said, I did not know of NSR Cell when I first, when I joined the program. I was in Mumbai. I actually discovered the program, as Professor Suresh would say, I do all things late. So I discovered the program also after the deadline. They had extended the deadline by a week, and NASSCOM had sent out an email, a late reminder email. And I saw that, and I was just in the nick of time. And I remember I wrote to Isha, who was the coordinator of the program at that time. And she said, yes, you can still apply, like the last 2 days are left. My primary motivation, to be very honest, for joining the program at that point was purely the brand. I'll be extremely honest that having the IIMB brand attached to what I was doing was very important for me then, because I don't come from a very conventional, a lot of women here don't come from very conventional engineering backgrounds, right? That are considered to be, like most tech startups, you have like somebody with a very strong engineering background, or like a very popular alma mater and stuff like that. And I didn't have that. Being a chartered accountant, it was very different from most people who were in the space. So I thought that IIMB would add a lot of value to my efforts, and it did. But what I realized is, while the brand helped a lot, there were a lot of other things that I discovered once I joined the program, things I didn't expect to actually get from it. I got an amazing network of entrepreneurs, of fellow entrepreneurs, women or not otherwise. We managed to get our first advisor for the company via the IIMB network of mentors. We were able to do a lot of things because of the opportunities that IIMB provided. But yes, at the stage where you guys are, and you're thinking about filling that form out, please consider that the brand really puts you, it puts you in gear. It takes you to the next level. It definitely helps a lot. But at the same time, it's a very the program will help you as much as you help yourself. So. I think Professor would agree that not every woman entrepreneur from the Women's Startup program has ended up continuing her startup beyond the program, or whatever. It will help you as much as you help yourself, but they have amazing opportunities for you for sure. And it's a very well structured program. Like Sneha said, it's open to all. It's very accepting, and there is no reason why I think one should not apply for it. For me, the factor was distance, but now with everything being online, it's even better. So yeah.
Amshu, did you apply from Mysore, or did you actually apply from Manali?
Hi, Prof. No, good afternoon, everyone. So nice to see everyone here. Hi. So unfortunately, a little it was a very different way. Just like Anushka, I think I was in the last bits of 2 days before the program sign up was ending when I signed in. and it has like a long story to it, where I traveled to Manali. I started up with all these smoothies and selling smoothies and milkshakes in different cities. That's when I met Naga in NSR Cell, and I attended a couple of sessions, took his input and everything. Then I was there in Bangalore trying to set up our cafe or a smoothie stall with Decathlon. And that process did not go through. And I had taken leave for 3 months during winters, because winters is really horrible in Manali. So I was wondering, okay, what would I do now, these 3 months? But the idea of Tapasu or native producers kept on ticking in my head ever since I came to Himachal, when I met the people there. And I think I opened my Facebook. I saw NSRCL. I used to follow NSRCL for all the monthly sessions that NSRCL hosts. And I saw this WSP program MOOC session that was being put up. And I signed up for it, because essentially I was in a place where I had the idea and I had no clue what to do about it, essentially. And also because I'm from southern part of the country, and doing something new in, a place like Himachal is, no matter how outgoing, how strong you are, it's always a back step for somebody to execute it, right? But I think MOOC is something that actually helped quite a bit in completely streamlining my thought, putting it down into one place. And also because, like Sneha said, that it's very open, and it's all different genres and different kinds of ideas are there. My idea of fitting down the idea, or making sure that, okay, Tapasu was what I wanted to work upon, and it was Manali that I wanted to work upon, and not Mysore, essentially. And all of these process happened through the course of online sessions that happened. And one of the very, very interesting things that has happened, apart from all the amazing, the branding, the networking, and all of this that has happened with NSRCL, is for somebody to move to a whole different region, and a whole different place in executing your idea, and trying to work with the ground community, and as a farmer community, and trying to understand, okay, where do you start? How do you, have people to trust in you? And, how do you get the local authorities to believe in you? And all of these things was possible because NSRCL stood there as a handholding support, and also getting in touch with IIT Mandi, because it was closer to us. And, Professor Bringidev was a part of the founding committee there, and he put us through. So all of these things, every step has been paved really well. And I think also because I went out and I started asking, okay, I'm in Himachal, there's no way I can come to Bangalore every time, and there's no way. So there's always been a good hand holding in terms of from the beginning, from ideation to how do you execute it, even if we have pivoted the right way of pivoting, or what makes sense. Because essentially we work with a lot of community, and community is a lot of behavioral analysis, and understanding people, understanding how they respond to different personalities and different kind of situations. So all of this was possible because we got access to NSRCL, first thing, and also that we got access to really good mentors from NSRCL. Naga, Sunil Handa, Prof Sunil Handa, and Vaibhav Bamoria, all of these are we've constantly stayed in touch with them, and they've visited us, they've given us inputs, they have helped us build from just a small speck of confused idea to, what we have achieved to reach out to about 3,200 farmers today in Himachal. So this is something which I see would not probably be possible if that, the last 2 days of, just going and signing up for my MOOC didn't happen, essentially.
So folks who are listening to it, who have not registered as yet, please don't wait until the last minute like Amshu and Anushka to register. Please do it right away. So hopefully the other two. Nanda, did you sign up early or did you wait until the last minute?
No, actually, my journey was very planned and very calculated decision. So I'm a computer engineer, and I worked with IT companies for 15 years. And I had taken a break from my successful career, and I was working. I was thinking about startup. Okay, so startup bug has bitten me and I had taken a break, and I was attending lots of startup conferences and networking events, and that's how I came to IIMB campus. And after coming, I think the monthly sessions that for startup sessions I used to attend, and that's where I came to know that IIMB has lots of online courses, and I attended Do Your Venture course. And after I attended that, then the WSP application call for application came, and I had then I applied it. And I mean, it was.
Oh, you attended the
yes.
first ever Do Your Venture course.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
On EDS.
Okay.
On EDS.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So I was very serious about my idea. I was very serious about the sector which I want to be in, and I have been doing the homework for almost a year, and then I applied for WSP, and luckily my idea got selected, and it was a overwhelming experience. But though I'm from a technology background, I didn't know B for business or E for entrepreneurship. So having exposure to the entrepreneurship ecosystem at IIM Bangalore NSR cell was a great opportunity for me. So after getting selected, after 4 months, I registered the company and then started getting customers. And so far, it's been more than a year. We are doing good. We are into early traction, getting lots of customers. The demand for cybersecurity is good. So it was a great opportunity. But what it takes to get your skills and help your customers, marketing, sales, everything what I learned was thanks to NSR Cell mentors.
Shubhra, finally.
Hi everyone. So my journey,
when did you apply? Early, late?
Early.
So, okay.
Yeah, and this is the only thing that I perhaps have listened to my husband for. He's an entrepreneur, and he knew about NSR Cell and the work NSR Cell had been doing. I had just quit my corporate journey, and I was working as an individual consultant to different restaurants and hotels. And the work that I was doing, he saw, that had value in it. And I as well wanted it to take to a different level. I knew what I wanted to build, but I just didn't know how, just like Shambhavi said. And he saw the opportunity and I applied for NSR Cell. And I honestly did not believe that I would get through, but that's the beauty of the program, that it is sector agnostic, as Sneha said, and they see the value that you're trying to bring in. And if it's a great idea, you are obviously in here. So thank you so much to NSR Cell for that. I think what I came here for entrepreneurial learning, I came from a background of hospitality. Worked within early stage startup Yatra.com, which went on to take on to a growth phase, and I was one of the early, part of the founding team. So yeah, a lot of entrepreneurial journey was there, but having your own setup, learning about it, what does it take, everything came by from the learnings of this program. So I think, one of the best programs, especially for women entrepreneurs, bringing people ideas into an MVP or prototype or a product stage. This is one of the best programs to be in. Thank you.
So, so the question that I have for anyone could answer this is, how do you prepare for the MOOC, right? Because it's an online course. Online courses were not very popular, and there were a bunch of things that you were asked to do. I don't know how people are going to do it this time, maybe use phone calls, but so there were tasks to be done in the MOOC, right? Did you all think it was trivial, or did you think the MOOC actually helped your thought process?
It obviously helped. I think, the videos that we saw, and especially yours and everyone else's in it, it was very, very insightful. For me, I'm talking for myself, I had no clue, the idea of validation. For me, it's an idea that has to work because I came from hospitality. I was working to solve a hospitality problem. I knew that this is a problem. What is there to validate it? But it is so important to go through that phase of learning and understand, is there really a customer who's going to pay you for the services that you are, trying to solve the problem for? So, going through all of those MOOC, the modules and the task and assignments to it. I remember one of the assignment was to jot down all 10 different ideas and then, work out which is the most feasible one, or what are you working upon and how do you go about in getting validations for the same. I think that was brilliant, because what is the point of building something when someone is not going to pay you for it? I think it was very, very insightful. Yeah, others, please.
Yeah, Sambhavi, how did you feel as a scientist with a very focused bent of mind? Did you think some of this seemed a little bit wishy-washy and management jargon?
No, I think that the MOOC was the first time I learned about this thing called MVP, and the fact that what it actually meant and what it was to create one. I think my main takeaway from the MOOC was understanding my own privileged position. It's something that I had not thought about before at all, and to see it from someone else's perspective. I was at NCBS, which was a really cozy environment for me to be in. And I realized that I was tailoring the product very much only for that institution, and that it would not work anywhere else. And that came from talking to other people, and the need that I had to answer something, I had to do a task, which meant I had to talk to somebody else. So I found that extremely useful.
Sneha?
So I think when you think of entrepreneurship, you always think of doing something, right? Like constantly working on something and, tinkering and things like that. But I think it's also really important to take some time out to reflect. The time when I joined the MOOC program was a time where I really wanted to introspect and really think about how we're going to go about doing things. And I, on purpose, very consciously decided to take some time off to do the MOOC and not really do anything else. If I was doing anything else, it was around the MOOC, whether it was talking to customers or whether I was developing, the lean canvas, sort of for my business, and like a whole bunch of things. Again, like a lot of people are saying here, I didn't really know a lot of these terms, and I came to know all of that through this. The MOOC program also helped me understand a lot from the financial perspective as well, a lot of things which are so crucial before you take the plunge, right? So I think I think that taking some time off to really think about this, whether you're a working professional, whether you're somebody who's studying, or somebody who's on a break, whatever your situation might be, I think doing the MOOC, just completely focusing on the MOOC and completing those tasks in itself will give you so much confidence if you have even that slightest bit of doubt. So for me, again, I think the MOOC was that was the time when I realized I'm going to sign up for this without a doubt.
So how was it for you, Amshu? Because you already have an MBA, you know how all these business plans work, how businesses work. You already were quite good at finances and supply chain. And so what good was the MOOC for you? Or was it just a tunnel into which we got into NSR cells who had to endure it?
No, not at all. So even though some of these terms were very familiar from my MBA background, like I mentioned earlier that, when I signed up for MOOC, the idea was there, but just being so sure that this is the idea, like, we spoke about customer validation, idea validation, and also MVP and all of these things. So just the whole process of it, like just having an idea is not important. Like, that is exactly what I learned from this MOOC, that just because you know that this is something that you're so passionate about or so interested to work on, there are some ways, guidelines of how you can actually make it more easily executable. So this entire process, rather than being a theoretical experience, it was more of a practical experience for me of talking to customers, getting insights of validation, whether they'll buy this produces, or all of these things created a proper perspective as to how do I start. I remember one of the sections that I actually made me like realize that, so there were like 3 industries that you had to pick as part of the MOOC, and in one industry you then jot down 10 ideas, right? And then at the end of the course you stick to like one idea that you, 1 or 2 ideas that you want to like finalize upon. So this entire process actually told me if Tapasu or native producers or reviving or community was exactly what I wanted to do. And if I wanted to do, then these are certain, the entire program of MOOC helped me in structuring or blueprinting the whole process of, okay, how do I go about it? How do I validate this? Who I talk to? Who's going to be my first buying people? And, where am I going to make the money? Just being a community, impact creation is not necessary, but then you also have to look into how much of value that the farmers are going to get in terms of monetary return. So all of these things was something that was built during the MOOC course, and it helped me in structuring the idea, essentially. Structuring from just having a small thought of to making it more executable, essentially.
So Meenal, coming from an aesthetic background, what was your experience?
SpaceX was already launched with a few tracks when I came to So through MOOC means I just started with my business with just a thought and idea, and I was not aware that I have to do all these processes before jumping into the business. So through MOOC process, I got to know that you have to do the customer validation. Oh, I have done it. So I was really proud about it. Okay, I have done the customer validation, and all those processes were very helpful. And the most important thing I have learned from NSR Cell is to ask whatever the most important lesson I learned. And my venture is an entirely new concept for architectural industry. So most of the work happens offline and through the word of mouth. And I don't have any business background either. So the entrepreneur journey, full of challenges, disappointment, loneliness. So when we got incubated in NSR Cell, that tough journey is no more lonely. And I was so happy because I have gone through that entrepreneur journey before incubation. So I was so happy that we have so many intellectual minds thinking for your venture, about your challenges. They are with you in your journey. So that was the most incredible feeling for me. So it was very helpful. All the processes were very helpful. The boot camp, MOOC, everything, each and every step I enjoyed thoroughly.
So Anushka, how was the MOOC for you? You were a chartered accountant. You're a Bombayite. World moves very fast. So how was the MOOC for you?
So honestly, it's been very long, so I don't entirely remember every aspect.
You are into fiction and fiction writing. Come up, make some interesting.
I'm making up something.
No.
But yeah, so I think one of the important things that I think Meena spoke about is that the MOOC really pushes you to go out and talk to people and ask for help. I think that's one very important thing because, I see like some of the questions that people are asking, is it okay to apply without an idea? I have an idea, what do I do, etc. So the MOOC is planned in such a way that even if you don't have an idea, you can sort of narrow it down, or you can focus your energies into figuring out which idea works best. And once you've selected an idea, how do I kind of check, like I think a lot of people spoke about, how do I check whether this MVP works, whether someone will pay for it or not, all of those important things. It takes you through a very structured thought process, a very structured flow of from all of these ideas, how do I pick the one? Once I pick the one, how do I kind of go out and get people and go out and figure out whether there is somebody willing to pay for it. So it takes you through the entire process in a very structured manner. And it really shakes you up because it makes you uncomfortable, right? You have to go and speak to strangers and tell them, and you're pitching to a complete stranger and saying, this is my idea, this is what I'm planning to do, here is my product, or here is this idea of a product or service, because I don't have it currently, but if I did, would you pay for it? I mean, not so directly, but you will learn how to kind of craft those questions and ask. I think that's super important, what Meena pointed out. It just really makes you go out and ask people for help, ask potential customers for validation. It really validates what's going on in your mind, you alone thinking of something and thinking this is a great idea versus a whole bunch of real people out there validating it. It gives you that entire that confidence. And so I pivoted, right? I mean, I had an idea. I got through the program. Midway through the program, I pivoted and I moved to something else. And that's okay too. So you'll pick something, you will analyze it, and then you'll figure out that, okay, this may not work, but something related. I have learned something in this process that will help me start something else. So, you can pivot your ideas. So that too, it pushes you outside your comfort zone. It really does. The MOOC, the entire program, it in a very structured way pushes you to go and speak to people. And I think that's the biggest gift of the program, because whether you go ahead in the journey or not, whether you get selected for the boot camp or not, you've already done a lot of work, a lot of very valuable work, which will really benefit you.
So great. So one of the things is that all of y'all benefited from the MOOC. Different people have benefits from different parts of the MOOC, which is very good. It's very difficult to have a program that every single component helps every single person, but there would be parts of the components that would change your perspective because you are engaging in a bunch of activities that we think would help you, right? So those of y'all who are signing up, take time, be very sincere, because the best thing that you can do is to try disprove yourself during this process. Saying that, do not try to listen to people saying nice things about you. Listen to people who are not saying nice things about you, because they may have a point that you may come to know a little later, right? So be very sincere about the MOOC part, because that's where you are going to be in. You don't need to have an idea. So most of these women have gone further down. Some of them have raised money. Some of them have like lots of paying customers. So in a way, they've traveled down their journey, but this is the first. So I look at first step, right? So I look at entrepreneurship more as going through multiple corridors. The corridor is the construct that I really would like to use for people wanting to enter entrepreneurship. You will not know that there are multiple corridors down the road if you don't open the first corridor. So a priori, before starting, as we used to do, you really have no idea what will work, what will not work, what should you be doing. It's only after you jumping in will you be able to understand how the whole industry and your idea is going to work out, right? So this is, as has been said, has been designed to be a very safe space for you to try your venture out, right? And we would want it to be that way. And maybe some kind of pressure would work in other programs, but we don't believe in it. We take it a little more quietly. So what I will do now is we'll stop now. We'll probably start taking questions, and maybe each of you all could start answering the questions. So Shloka, would you read out, or?
Yeah, I can read them out.
So Shloka, you could read out and ask specifically who do you want that to be answered by?
All right. For the first question is for Sneha. It's from Ishneet Kaur. She wants to know the idea you're finally working on, how different it is from the idea you had before applying for the program.
So the idea is the same, but the scale at which the work that we're doing right now is very, very different from when we started. So like I said, at that time, we had nothing, absolutely nothing. I literally just had like a PPT. And today we have 200,000, mothers and educators using Kutuki, and over 150 preschools using Kutuki across India. Now that journey has been excruciating in the sense that there have been highs and lows and a whole bunch of things in between. But so what Kutuki does is we create contextual early learning resources tailor-made for Indian preschoolers. And the reason why we are very focused on early learning, EdTech is like a big thing right now, right? But a lot of focus goes into primary, secondary education, or for skilling up and for professional training, but there's really nothing in the early learning space. And we have 200 million children with less than 40,000 preschools that cater to their needs. So this is such a wide space. Nobody really knows, nobody's really been able to figure out what to do here. How do you create like a structured, program or a sort of learning resources that can be scaled pan-India, addressing the needs of Indian children. For generations, we've been using learning resources that are force-fed from the West, singing your Baba Black Sheep and Rain, Rain, Go Away, and nothing really that connects Indian children to the environment that's around them. And that's a huge problem for us to solve. So the way we went about building Kutuki was to focus on the resources itself. So we brought together a team of creative artists. I'm a creative artist myself, and we brought together an incredible talented team of creative artists. All this happened at NSRCell. We had nothing. We were just two people who started out. My co-founder Bharat, who also happens to be my husband, the two of us started. And then we brought this team of educators, storytellers, musicians, artists to come together, and we started creating content from scratch, which was insane. We had never done anything. This was visual content, audio content, and written content, and a whole bunch of other things. The next step was distribution. How do we get our content across to people? And that's where you actually, is the proof of the pudding, right? To test whether people even want to watch this. Is there really, are you really truly adding value, right, in the learning of children in this age group? So we launched the easiest thing and the most scalable thing for us to do was to go digital, because anything in print would be very, very expensive at that time. And we were very frugal, cash strapped. We were bootstrapped at that time. We had barely any money to spend. So we launched an app, and we had literally such a lean tech team, so much so that my co-founder, who had not coded in like years, started coding again. He picked up coding just to start getting our app going. And we launched the Kutuki mobile app. So that's how it started. That's where we were. And today, I mean, at that time, we had probably in the first year of joining NSRCell, we probably had about 100 pieces of content, maybe. And now maybe we are close to about 500, 600, or maybe even more. We're sort of close to 800 plus minutes of content, on Kutuki, and like I said, with about 200,000 users. So it was quite a journey in terms of the scale of the whole thing. I don't know if I answered your question or I was rambling. I'm not sure, but please, I hope it's answered your question.
Thanks, Neha. We are getting a lot of questions. I think we've got over 150 questions, whichever are program related. Ankita and I are trying to answer them over text. And the next question is for maybe for all of you. Should the business idea be unique and something? Maybe Professor, you can pick this up because we are seeing this a lot. Should the business idea be unique or something never seen in order to be selected? So something about the selection criteria. Or just what is it that we look at in terms of startups? Maybe Professor can take that.
So one of the things that we look at when we are evaluating ventures is also, why are you doing whatever you're doing, right? In as much as we are trying to evaluate your idea, we're also interested in why are you doing whatever you're doing. That also appeals to us. If you have a philosophical bearing of like, here is why I think I really want to take a shot at this, it doesn't matter how unique or how crowded your space is. And we would want you to tell us more about the industry, tell us more about the lay of the land around your idea. So which gives us confidence that you know what you're doing and you know what you're saying. And therefore, we believe you if you're trying to push the boundary a bit, although it's extremely crowded, but here is a little angle that needs to be different. and why should that be, and here is the reason, right? It all depends on the logic with which you try to convince us why you're doing whatever you're doing is interesting and why we should be supporting you, right? So we're not looking at uniqueness at all, right? It's not about uniqueness. It's about you, your industry, and what you really want to do and why you want to do it. That appeals to us more. The other thing I want to tell you is I've never sat on any of the WSP evaluations. So I always have this, because I like all ideas. I get excited by just about any idea that comes to me. I'm just excited that somebody wants to start a venture. So I really can't distinguish. So I tend to stay away from the evaluation. And when I evaluate people I have no idea about, I've never spoken to, I don't know. So I'm not the one who sit and evaluate, there are a bunch of mentors who do that. But broadly at NSRCL, this is what excites us.
All right. Thanks, Professor. The next question is for Shambhavi. This is from Deeksha. So she writes, I'm also a scientist with a PhD and want to provide bioinformatics services with data analysis. How do we know the idea is viable, and how do I get it to market?
Right. Thanks, Diksha. The first thing is obviously you talk to people, which is what I started doing when I was still at NCBS. The other, and I literally used IIM's name in this, was to do a Google form, or rather a monkey survey for IMB and NSRC related research, saying that, hey, this is a solution that might be coming out. Would you be interested? What are the price point you'll buy it at? These are the features. What else would you like to see in this? And that actually gave us a lot of feedback, which was unbiased, because till now I was only talking to people I knew. This form went to a lot of institutions and went to people who did not know me at all. And that was immensely useful in understanding how to go around things. Having said all of that, our first idea was to set up a marketplace, like an Amazon for life science products. And we got a lot of positive feedback for that, but the idea bombed. So we spent a lot of money trying to get this marketplace up, but saw very few transactions. So yeah, it was helpful to get that kind of feedback, but then you had to keep on innovating. At every stage, we had to go back and get more feedback. So we eventually pivoted to a WhatsApp-based model, which was at zero cost to us and works beautifully now. We could have just started with that had I known, but hey, that's part of the learning curve.
It's corridors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So folks, here are two suggestions. Anushka said that, Shambhavi said that. Feel free to use IIMB's brand while you're trying to get information from people saying that, look, it's a project that you're doing as part of the online course, right? And then people usually end up, because we like to give Gyan, and especially as part of a course, customers will try to give you a lot of inputs. Yeah. Shloka, go ahead.
The next question is specifically for Shubhra. So she was asked, please share what was your main learning from Launchpad and incubation.
Launchpad?
Soon after MOOC and the incubation, it's the program itself. I think this person's from hospitality.
Yeah,
and
so Shubhra, last time we had boot camp, right? So I think she meant that.
What did you learn post MOOC, Shubhra? Did you learn anything? Did you learn anything, or you just came to NSRCL?
No. I heard Launchpad, Professor. So I was wondering, because I'm part of WS.
Yeah.
So incubation, obviously there are a lot of panelists here have already spoken of that you constantly hustle. You have created something, you take feedback, and it is not working. You obviously remodel it and see what is it that is working, hear from what your customers are telling you and work it around. So speed of execution, I think that's the biggest learning that I had from the NSRCL incubation process. MOOC obviously helped us with a lot of business learnings, but when it came down to execution, I think speed matters. Time matters. The entire 1 year, how fast it will flow, you have no clue, So having that vision, what are you coming in here for? And what exactly do you want out of this 1 year process for working for you? I think that's one of the biggest learning and takeaway that I had right after my incubation. You need to have a complete game plan ready, work around it. Doesn't work, please go back. There is an ample sort of mentors, professors, guides, everyone here, Anushka, Shambhavi, we all used to reach out, ask questions because they had already walked that path ahead of us, and keep taking their feedback and learn from their experiences. So shamelessly go ahead, ask for help. I remember I was a single founder. I'm still a single founder. And, with a single founder coming in place, the pressure is all the more. You have extra focus to be put in. You have extra, dedication, time, effort that needs to come by. I had issues where I needed technical help. And again, that's where the cohort, which Anushka also mentioned of, comes so much into help. I reached out to Sneha. Sneha and Bharat as well helped me, not just in terms of getting, finding, a technical partner, how, in a frugal way, without putting in a lot of investment, can I work around my idea and bring it into an MVP or an executionable stage. So I think these are key learnings from me. Stay frugal, look out, hear from what the customers have to say, learn from the experiences of others, because learning from your own experiences is a very costly one. So, learn as much as you can from each other's experiences, and shamelessly go ahead, tell your problem and ask for help.
So one thing is like, yes, as you rightly said, have a game plan, but keep validating that game plan continuously. Right? So it is not important to stay fixed because that's what you thought. So you're constantly learning about your own initiative and your own idea, and you need to ask. Look, at the end of the day, yes, there would be some pressure, but the onus of going and reaching out and talking and getting this information is all yours again.
Absolutely.
Right? So, yeah.
This question is for all, actually. We've been seeing a lot of questions in terms of how did you manage your day. There was a question from Avantika where she said, how will working moms cope up with the program schedule? Can you give a glimpse on the kind of time commitments? Maybe if you could share a couple of tips in terms of how you managed your day, I think it would be helpful.
Working moms.
I would like to take this one. So when that process was going on and we were in camp. Hello.
Hey, Meena, you're not audible.
Your voice is a little patchy, I think.
Oh, my voice is not clear.
Yeah, I'll tell something here. Can I just pitch in here? I have a 12-year-old. And he used to accompany me to the campus every day during his summer vacation. Everyone here, I think, as well, would have her kids. Our kids had formed their own cohort. And that's the beauty of the program. It allows you to, gives you the flexibility. It's a women-centric program. And it gives you that flexibility. Whilst you have your dream and aspirations, you don't really need to compromise upon it. You just need to have the mental drive, and the program supports you in a very big way. Meena, if you got it right, please take it forward.
So we are, I think last year, thanks to all of you all, Dalia, who was part of the CRESH committee, put a lot of pressure on IIMB to say that our CRESH needs to be big. So we're building a new CRESH on campus, which is much larger, which can hold people. They're saying, why are NSR cell entrepreneurs not part of IIMB? So legally, they're not. But I guess, but many of y'all may not have to be on campus. Maybe it won't even be ready by the time you guys come, maybe 6-7 months time from now. But the thing is that, yes, we are all very open, but given that it is no longer open, how do you handle your kids and this venture? If there was a possibility, NSRCL is one of the most kid-friendly place. You have Shloka, Ankita, they'd rather be playing with kids than work. So we had, so we love kids on camp in NSR cell. Yeah, Nanda, did you bring your kids here?
Yeah, a couple of times during summer vacation.
Okay.
And yeah, but apart from campus,
actually, which batch was yours? There was, even during the
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you.
Professor, we lost you, I think.
Hello.
I think we lost it.
Professor. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll probably go on to the next question.
Yeah, Shloka, can I just add to this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I have twin sons, okay, and whether you are on the campus, off the campus, whether you are doing job or you are running a business, all it matters is to have a strong support system in place, right? Make sure that your family, your husband, your extended family is there for you. That matters the most, and you be focused on your aspiration, on your entrepreneurship journey. That's what I can say. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Nanda. I'll just move on to the next question while we wait for Professor to dial in. How important is the amount of work, experience, or related background in the selection process of the program? Do you need any prerequisite? Ankita, Professor, maybe you want to take this?
I just joined. It's like somebody was caught napping. I just locked out and then I had to come in. So somebody else who actually listened to the question.
Okay, Ankita, maybe you can take this one.
I think Professor can also answer that. Professor, like
I didn't listen to the question.
Okay.
I just
I'll repeat.
You're putting me on the spot.
No, Professor, we'll help you out.
Okay, I'll read the question. How important is the amount of work, experience, or related background in the selection process of the idea? Is it a prerequisite? So essentially, they want to know if they should have worked on the idea that they're coming with, or is it something that is that a prerequisite at all?
We welcome ideas as long as you're passionate about it. Yes, sometimes experience do matter, but we have also seen exceptional cases wherein there is a balance between what your experience is. Yes, for example, Nanda, she has experience in IT, so it has helped her in the cybersecurity, but it may not be the case for the other women entrepreneurs. So it's case-to-case basis. We are not very rigid on the kind of experience that you need to have, but as long as you are focused on your goal, focus on your idea, and you can build your experience while you are building your idea, will help you to progress.
So Anushka, how did you convince us that coming from a chartered accountant background and wanting to get into books?
I was just gonna say that, like, I mean, I'm a good example of someone who had no experience in what I was gonna start at all. We have a tech platform. We first started with having a community platform for writers around the world to write long form content, poetry, novellas, novels, whatever. So it was like a digital social media platform for people only focused on literature. So it wasn't like Facebook or any other social media platform. This was people writing stories and getting real-time feedback from their audience. We then pivoted to a platform that we have now where we create immersive interactive fiction. So we kind of marry the written word with other multimedia elements to create these interactive experiences where you as a reader can actually participate and become a part of the story, etc. So now we've kind of pivoted a little and made it a little more heavy on multimedia and other aspects. But so for all of this, you would imagine somebody who is either a writer or has been in the whole production space, who has worked with other writers, or who's been in the creative space, which I'm not. I'm not from the creative space. I'm a chartered accountant, so completely the opposite. Plus, I'm not a techie, so I couldn't build the app myself. So I, of course, found a co-founder who had the technical expertise that I lacked, and who was and both of us came together and we kind of made it work. So I think your experience, I was not from the creative space at all. I was not from the tech space at all. And it didn't matter when I was pitching the product. I did a lot of research. So during the MOOCs, I reached out to everybody possible. So basically, I was targeting the publishing industry when I first applied. So I kind of went and spoke to people randomly. I did a lot of cold emails and cold calls and did a lot of research on the space. When I finalized my idea via the MOOCs, I did a lot of research and I pitched that, this is what I found out. This is what I have learned from people who are relevant in the industry, and I want to do this. So I think the criteria of what having to be from the same space, it's great if you are doing something and you have a lot of experience in it. That's amazing. But even if you don't, I don't think it spoils your chances of getting here at all. And in fact, we've gone ahead and raised money from professional institutional investors, and my background has not affected it at all. So I think you can make it even if you don't come from the same sort of academic line or whatever. Unfortunately, we don't have that privilege. We don't come from the same background, but that's fine. You can still make it.
I think I just want to add something that sometimes not coming from, a lengthy background in a particular space helps, because you don't have the biases that a lot of people could have. You not coming from that background could give you a completely different perspective as well. So, that could very well work to your strength. And just correct me if I'm wrong, Nanda and the rest. In our cohort, we had somebody who was as young as 21, right? Fresh out of college, all the way to somebody who was a grandmom and everything in between.
Wow, I didn't know about the grandma, but yes, I completely agree with you on that part, that it does create a lot of biases as well. Yeah,
It's
well
also so about the like Sneha pointed out, the diverse set. So even in WSP1, I think the youngest was around the youngest who got into the boot camp was around 24, and the oldest was about 55. So I mean, like I was 25 or 26 when I got into the program, and my best friend in the batch was the one who was the oldest. So she was my mom's age, and I think we've been so tight, and she's helped me and I've helped her way past the incubation, way past the experience at IIMB, beyond that, after that. So it's amazing. I mean, in terms of the diversity of the group and the connections you will make.
We're getting a lot of sorry, go ahead.
And Professor, I mean, a lot of have been asking, a lot of these women have been asking questions on what the current structure of the program will be this time. So
yeah, so unlike the other programs which had a lot more face-to-face co-located, this time is going to be virtual. But one thing that we have noticed over the last 3 months is that we can still get to the level of engagement that we had offline on online. But the thing that we're going to miss out is knowing each other personally, looking at each other, knowing each other. That may have to wait a bit until things clear up. But on the effectivity of the program, given that we have run multiple launchpads online, we have ran one fintech cohort completely online, and now as at IIM, we're running multiple classes online. And I actually quite like the online medium. I hated it in the beginning, but off late I started liking for the fact that it has made geography a little irrelevant. So the first WSP cohort, we had Anushka and Deepika who were not from Bangalore, but the rest were from Bangalore. So next time we said we're going to step into the country, and we had about 7 or 8 locations. And then we had about 65 from outside Bangalore, but still 35 from Bangalore. Right? So this time we are hoping that, given the fact that we are not more comfortable with online medium, technically geography should be a little more irrelevant than ever before. We could always come together a little later. You could always pick up the phone and call. We could also always talk to each other and create those cohorts. So we'll try to create the same networking magic that we had earlier online. It is possible. But on the learning part, I don't think it's going to go down. Given the experience that we had over 4 months, our NSRCL has been brilliant in terms of organizing lots of events, lots of online activities, completing Launchpad. We did lots of work, right? So I think online should not be a problem. It should be quite exciting, actually.
All right, moving on. I think they had a lot of questions in terms of the program structure and where the MOOC, what happens after the MOOC and how do they sign up. So we'll probably cover all of that a little later, once and for all, since a lot of those questions are coming from that. Um, the next question is, as experienced professionals in our own field, do you think or recommend some amount of corporate on-field experience is important before getting into the entrepreneurial journey? As a student, a lot of people have told me not to get into startups right out of college, but instead of that, do a job. What do you suggest? I think this is for everyone.
Yeah, but I can take a shot at it because it cuts both ways. It really cuts both ways that it could come into your advantage that you're so naive that nobody told you that it doesn't work, right? And you actually went ahead and made it work. If you had spoken to anybody, would have said like, man, it doesn't work, right? So, but then a little bit of experience does matter. But having said that, the course has been structured in a manner that should at least take you step by step. If nothing else, it will be a great experience for you to analyze the ways of the world, right? And what you learn when you have your venture will be sometimes more than what you will learn in a job. First of all, your ego is going to go out of the window, right? So it's gone. You can't have attitude. There are lots of personality building activities that come with starting your own venture, right? So we used to have Amagi, which is now one of our biggest success stories with hundreds of people across the world. They would say, founders saying, there's nothing that is character building like starting your own venture. You see how insignificant you are in this entire ecosystem, and you'll have to now start from there, right? And if you can do that, I guess you would always have skill sets that are seriously valuable in the world. So there's one thing that I also want to tell you all is that don't look at your own initiative or your venture as the only thing that you're going to do, right? Look at entrepreneurship more like a career option, that you're going to take it up and you're going to learn. You're going to learn about the ways of the world. You're going to learn about the way in which you could probably partake in that system, making money for yourself, right? So to that extent, mistakes are allowed, failures are allowed, saying that, look, I don't want to do it right now, I'll do it later is allowed. Lots of things are allowed, right? It's not about hitting the ball out of the park the first time that you're trying to run your venture. It's not about becoming a unicorn. It's not about, I need to get it right. It's a learning experience. It's an experience that you are going to say that, look, let me try, right? May work out first time. You've seen people who have pivoted. I've seen people who shut down and they start again. So usually what happens is more the number of times of shots that you take, more successful you're likely to become, right? So everyone has pivoted their idea, had come to realize, imagine, right? Shambhavi, after spending lakhs and lakhs of rupees, realizing that, you know what, I could have used WhatsApp, right? So yeah, but so all these things are allowed in entrepreneurship. And I think that is what you should give yourself. Be very honest. You're taking an honest shot at entrepreneurship and see where it takes you. So experience matters. No experience is also good.
So well said, Prof. It is such a self-discovery process. So true.
There were a lot of questions in terms of the structure of the program. Ankita will be covering that now.
Yes, I think Professor has more or less covered, but just in the interest of everybody, because there have been a lot of queries on that. So we will be having 3 steps of the Women Startup Program. There is the phase 1, which is the online MOOC course on SWAYAM platform. This program will be providing, this stage particularly will be providing business knowledge for the women entrepreneurs to build on their initial idea on the SWAYAM platform. They'll go through course topics on idea generation and validation. They'll also go out and talk to the customers. In the process, they will also soon realize how to have their business idea, and they could submit that to us. The phase 2 is the online launchpad or the pre-incubation. The program will then progress by offering the selected candidates from the MOOCs to a 2-month virtual launchpad program where entrepreneurs will undergo business training to develop their prototype. Then we come across, then the next stage is the phase 3, which is the incubation at NSRCell campus or the program partners that we have partnered with. Finalists will be selected to be a part of incubation at NSRCell and other program partners they choose to be a part of from the location they're close to, where they will be focusing on developing the product and also scaling up.
Yeah, and here you don't have to really go to those cities. You are connected to your partners. So partners will be helping you out, but we will also be helping you all out. So we're all in it together. So it doesn't mean that if you're with a partner that you can't work with us. We are working with the partner and trying to build their capabilities so that they will also be helping y'all out. So whichever is your nearest partner, we would work with you. And you don't have a nearest partner, we would be working with you. So much of it is going to be online as much as possible. Perhaps I don't know what's going to happen to the world right now. Maybe we'll get a vaccine very quickly. Maybe we'll say, okay, we'll figure out, we'll have to live with it. Maybe we'll come up with a way in which we could incubate with this social distancing. But that's anyway going to be step 3. But for sure, the launchpad is going to be virtual. Earlier, we had boot camp, which was, I think, 10 days for one, and then about 1 week for the other. So this time we decided to extend it over 2 months' time so that we know each other better.
We will, these are the program highlights of the Women Startup Program. I'm sure everybody would have, kind of, these are the generic ones, which are also are part of the NSR cell highlights as well. Mentoring and networking being one of the most very good forte, I would say, in terms of the programs at NSR cell. The kind of networking, I think you could have kind of guessed by now the interactions that all these women entrepreneurs from WSP 1 and 2 have interacted with, and kind of gain their knowledge sharing from each other and help them to progress with their idea. So we also have a need-based assessment. So people with a different, not just with an early stage or an ideation stage, a bit advanced stage could also apply for the program. We will be evaluating them based on what stage they are in, and then do a mapping of the mentors or any other criteria they need to be taken for the next stage. Obviously, we do have a startup incubation at NSR Cell with our program partners. All the on completion, successful completion of the online course and submission of assessment, all the participants from MOOC will be getting a certificate from NSR Cell IIMB, and on completion of incubation period, you also become an NSR Cell alumni as well. So applications are open. We are just closing the applications by 21st of August. We urge all of you to apply for this program at nsrcell.org Women Startup Program. Any queries, any questions that you have very specific to the program, you could email us to at wspqueries@imb.ac.in, and the numbers are displayed over here. You could also call us at that. So, Professor, any other closing comments that you would like to give to the?
Yeah, first of all, thanks everyone for coming on. I initially wanted to say it's a holiday, but then we have been stuck at home for a long period of time. So thanks a lot for taking your afternoon and being with us. Thanks a lot, all of y'all coming and sharing your thoughts and your experiences of your WSP with us. So we are going to be troubling you now that the program is going to come on. We're going to be troubling you for lots of mentoring. You guys are the seniors now, been there, done it. So you all will have to take up a little more responsible role. So for those who are analyzing, here's what I suggest. You cannot analyze what it is to be swimming. Right? You can analyze as much as you want. You can do as many exercises in air as you want. But once you are in water, it's a completely different experience, right? So there's no point analyzing, saying that, will this work? Will that work? Will this idea be okay? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? It really doesn't matter. Take a shot at it. You are at your home. It's really a low risk opportunity at this point of time. Take a honest shot at it. Who knows? You may actually have a wonderful venture, and we be talking, and then you'll be on this program next year, right? So thanks a lot, WSP entrepreneurs. Thanks a lot, Shloka and Ankita, and thanks a lot, all of you. Weren't you supposed to take a picture of, I don't know how many hundred who were signed up? So apparently some ridiculously large number. I can't see from here.
We have some 500 plus people. Will we fit in a frame?
We might not be able to do that since it's a webinar, but I'll take a picture of this.
Of what?
Of
you I thought like you should be the one putting a little bit of small pictures. They're so small, it doesn't matter. You can just take any picture.
Anushka's looking down.
Yeah, perfect.
Look, why are you not on? Because you're the one taking picture.
Yeah. And because I'm live streaming as well, so my bandwidth is getting exhausted with that. One more picture, just 1 second.
We should be looking at the camera, right?
All good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you for attending. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
everyone.
you
so much for having us. All of you take care. Yeah.
Bye.
Great seeing
And
you
all the best
Bye.
to everyone.
Yeah. All the best.
Same to you all, guys.
Chalo, see you all.